Right friends, welcome back to latest banking events for IBPS clerks. This is our first live lecture and as I have already announced yesterday, we will have 10 live sessions till 30th December in view of IBPS clerks main examination, and it will be followed by newspaper editorials discussion from 2nd January onwards. And now the first session, latest banking events for IBPS clerks, and I would like to start with this universal banks versus differentiated banks. So nowadays payments banks as well as small finance banks are taking shape, and Airtel became the first payments bank in the country, all of you are well aware, and Capital Small Finance Bank is the first small finance bank in the country, but some of you are not clear about the differences between universal banks and payments banks and small finance banks. Universal banks examples, this Bank of Baroda, Axis Bank, State Bank of India, Vijaya Bank, these are all examples of universal banks. And you may ask, what are the activities undertaken by universal banks? Universal banks can do any type of operation, starting from loan ranging from lakhs of rupees to crores of rupees, and I would like to explain you what type of activities are undertaken by these universal banks. Small retail loans, I have given example here, home loan, this is example of retail loan. Sometimes in the examination you may have to face a question, which of the following is categorized as retail loan? Please do not forget home loans, then mortgage loans, then vehicle loans, then credit card advances, personal loans, these are all examples of retail loans. And here one important aspect I would like to tell you, the advance on credit card is also classified as revolving credit. This is very important. If someone asks you which of the following classifies under revolving credit, revolving credit means the limit is given, then you are allowed to borrow from bank up to the limit. If the credit card limit is 20,000 rupees, then you can purchase a shirt of rupees 2,000, you can purchase a TV of rupees 20,000. So up to 20,000 it is your choice, that is why it is called revolving credit. So this is very important point. So these are all examples of retail loans. Now if you look at corporate loans, big corporates take loans, and this comes under wholesale banking. This is very important. So first one is retail banking, second one is wholesale banking, and the third important aspect is treasury operations, right? Banks do investments. Here I have given pictures of Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange, and banks do investments in various shares, and at the same time banks do investments in money market instruments. All of you are familiar with the call money. Call money market is example of money market instruments. So banks participate in money market instruments also, and at the same time banks undertake foreign exchange transactions also. So banks undertake foreign exchange transactions also. So this foreign exchange transactions, money market instruments, investments in various shares, these are all classified as treasury operations in the banking system. So banking system broadly classified as retail operations, then wholesale banking, then treasury operations. So this is all about the universal banks, and the existing banks like Canara Bank, ICICI, SBI, all these can do these types of operations. Now let us come to differentiated banks. These payments banks as well as small finance banks, these are examples of differentiated banks. And please do not forget, for the first time Reserve Bank of India granted approval for differentiated banks. And there is another difference, the capital required for the universal banks is rupees 500 crore, whereas paid up equity capital requirement for this differentiated banks is rupees 100 crore. That is one major difference. The second major difference is capital adequacy ratio for universal banks is 9%, whereas capital adequacy ratio for differentiated banks is 15%. So, these two are the major differences, and Reserve Bank of India gave in principle approval for 11 payments banks in August 15 and 10 small finance banks in September 2015. So, if you look at the payment banks, here I have given the total licenses in principle approval. I am talking about in principle approval. So, that is the first stage. After that, permission will be granted. First stage is in principle approval. In principle approval was given for 11 entities as far as payments banks are concerned. But please look into this slide. There are 3 cross marks. One is Cholamandalam, then Tech Mahindra, then Sun Pharmaceuticals, Dilip Shangvi joint venture. So, these 3 backed out. So, out of 11 licenses, 3 backed out. So, 8 are going to start their operations. Here I would like to tell you one important aspect. Airtel became the first payments bank in the country to launch operations. 2 more important aspects. One important aspect is Airtel launched from Rajasthan. Second point is it offered the highest ever interest rate on savings account, that is a 7.25%. So, these 2 are important aspects, and India Post, that is going to start payments bank by March 2017, right. So, 8 firms are going to start payments banks, and please look at the information with regard to payments banks here. One is External Advisory Committee of Nachiket More scrutinized the applications, and out of 41 firms, 11 got in principle approval, and as I have already told you, 3 firms backed out, and these 8 firms have to start their operations within 18 months, that is the requirement. And most important aspect is what they can do, what they cannot do. What payments banks can do, what payments banks cannot do. Before going into it, please do not forget this payments banks as well as the small finance banks, both put together are classified as differentiated banks. Now, payments banks, what they can do, I have listed out here, and the first one is they can accept deposits up to rupees 1 lakh per individual. Maximum deposit is rupees 1 lakh. They can issue or they can open current and savings account deposits. This is very important. That means they can open accounts for small businesses also. So, current accounts, savings accounts, both can be opened by payments banks, and the maximum limit is 1 lakh. Then they can issue debit cards. Then they can give internet banking facility. At the same time, they can become business correspondents for other banks with RBI approval. So, payments banks can become business correspondents for other banks with RBI's approval. So, these are the important aspects, and let us come to the negative aspects. What they cannot do? They are not allowed to lend. So, lending activity is totally banned. Second important aspect is they cannot issue credit cards, and they cannot accept NRI deposits. So, these 3 important aspects they cannot do. So, having learnt about payment banks, let us move on to small finance banks, and all of you are familiar with the Capital Small Finance Bank that became the first small finance bank in our country. And please do not forget, Airtel became the first payments bank, whereas Capital Small Finance Bank, if I am not wrong, it is Jalandhar based, it became the first small finance bank in our country, and totally 72 applications were received initially, and 10 entities were granted licenses, and Usha Thorat committee was the external advisory committee before recommending to RBI, right. So, here these are also classified as differentiated banks, and out of 10, 8 are previously microfinance institutions. And you may ask a pertinent question, what is meant by microfinance institution? Microfinance institution basically into giving small loans, very small loans of 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 in the interior hinterland of the country. So, here the main purpose of microfinance institutions are giving small loans, and small finance banks applications mostly in favor of this microfinance institutions. So, out of 10 licenses granted, 8 are microfinance institutions. And two important features. Before going into two important features, let us look at the firms which were granted these licenses, right. Capital Local Area Bank was granted license, and now it became Capital Small Finance Bank. Like that, I have given here Ujjivan, Equitas is based in Chennai if I am not wrong. So, these are in the process of establishing the small finance banks. And two important features, very important as far as small finance banks are concerned. First thing is 75% of the loans have to go to priority sector lending. And please do not forget, if you look at universal banks, the normal limit is 40% for priority sector lending. You may ask, what is meant by priority sector lending? Priority sector lending is the lending for important sections like agriculture, weaker sections. So, these comes under priority sector lending. There are several categories under priority sector lending. We have learnt in banking lectures, please view that capsule carefully. And here for small finance banks, 75% of the loans have to go to priority sector lending. Second important point is 50% of loan portfolio should be up to rupees 25 lakh size. These two are most important aspects if you look at the small finance banks. So, we discussed about universal banks as well as small finance banks. And if you look at the next aspect, merger of 5 associate banks with the State Bank of India is going to take place before March 2017. Keeping in mind this merger, Arundhati Bhattacharya was granted 1-year extension, and the 5 associate banks I have listed here: State Bank of Hyderabad, State Bank of Patiala, the first one, the last one. In the slide, I have given 5 associate banks. These 5 associate banks, if you look at the 2 associate banks, State Bank of Hyderabad as well as State Bank of Patiala, both 100% owned by SBI. There is no public shareholding as far as State Bank of Hyderabad and State Bank of Patiala are concerned. But if you look at the State Bank of Travancore, State Bank of Mysore as well as the State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur, if you look at these 3 associate banks, here the public shareholding is there. SBI is not owning 100%, SBI is owning maybe up to 60%, 70%, something like that. But if you look at the State Bank of Hyderabad as well as State Bank of Patiala, they are totally owned by State Bank of India. So, there is no question of public shareholding. And another important aspect is Bharatiya Mahila Bank. This was established in 2013, and this is also going to be merged with SBI. And please do not forget, Bharatiya Mahila Bank is 100% owned by Government of India. And two important aspects I have written about the previous mergers. Merger of State Bank of Saurashtra with the State Bank of India took place in 2008, and State Bank of Indore with the State Bank of India took place in 2010. And another important aspect is with regard to swap ratio. What is the swap ratio? Because Now State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur, as well as State Bank of Travancore, as well as State Bank of Mysore shares have to be exchanged with the State Bank of India shares, because these are going to be closed by March 2017, and there will not be any swap for State Bank of Hyderabad as well as State Bank of Patiala, because they are 100% owned by State Bank of India. So, here this swap ratio is announced. I have given here 28 shares of SBI for every 10 shares of State Bank of Bikaner and Jaipur, and at the same time 22 shares of SBI for every 10 shares of State Bank of Travancore as well as State Bank of Mysore. And similarly, swap ratio was also announced for Bharatiya Mahila Bank, because it is 100% owned by Government of India. So, please view this. There is no swap ratio for Hyderabad as well as Patiala, because these two associate banks are 100% owned by State Bank of India. So, this is all about merger, and please go through the headquarters I have given here, and at the same time the oldest of all the 5 associate banks is State Bank of Mysore, which is celebrated centenary in the year 2013. It was established in the year 1913. And at the same time, please do not forget, in India at present, out of all the existing private sector banks, the oldest is City Union Bank, which was established somewhere around 1904. So, these things do not forget, and let us move on. Online complaint redressal system, that is a SCORES, that is the initiative of Securities and Exchange Board of India. So, if someone talks about SCORES, this is online complaint redressal system, and this is SEBI complaints redress system, right. So, SCORES means this is the complaint redressal system of SEBI. Then let us look at Stand Up India Fund. This Stand Up India Fund is rupees 10,000 crore, and this is maintained by SIDBI. SIDBI is Small Industries Development Bank of India, and at the same time India Aspiration Fund is also maintained by SIDBI, and this is rupees 2,000 crore. This SIDBI is Small Industries Development Bank of India, please do not forget. And one more important aspect I would like to tell you, under Mudra Bank the loans are up to rupees 10 lakhs. Under Mudra Bank, loans are being given up to rupees 10 lakh, whereas under Startup India Stand Up India, the loans are given from rupees 10 lakh to rupees 1 crore. So, if someone talks about the range of loans given under Startup India Stand Up India, that is from rupees 10 lakh to rupees 1 crore. So, please do not forget, this Stand Up India Fund is maintained by SIDBI, and all of you are familiar with New Development Bank or BRICS Bank. This is established by BRICS countries, and this is headquartered in Shanghai. And at the same time, please do not forget AIIB. AIIB is headquartered in Beijing, and these type of institutions are called multilateral lending institutions. Please do not forget this term, that is multilateral lending institutions. And here this bank plans to issue first tranche of green bonds of 5-year duration in currency yuan. Yuan is the Chinese currency, and here one more important aspect is first tranche of loans announced in April 2016. First tranche of loans announced, and here I have listed out, please go through them. Brazil has got $300 million, India has got $250 million, South Africa has got $180 million. So, this is all about a New Development Bank, and at the same time its head is KV Kamath, do not forget, and it is headquartered in Shanghai. It is also known as the BRICS Bank. These are very, very important aspects. And here in Cube, this is the branch for startups. If someone talks about InCube, that is the branch for startups started by State Bank of India. This is one important aspect. Then another important aspect is for startups in financial technology space, this fintech startups. Fintech means the startups which are based on technology, or you can say technology startups, financial technology startups. So, for financial technology startups, State Bank of India has instituted rupees 200 crore fund. This is very important. And another important aspect I would like to tell you with regard to this project artificial intelligence was started by HDFC Bank. Blockchain technology was started for the first time by ICICI. Software robotics was started by ICICI. These things do not forget. And if you look at the next aspect, this is very important, a scheme for sustainable structuring of stressed assets. This is S4A. Maybe in the examination you may be asked what is meant by second S or third S in S4A. S4A is scheme for sustainable structuring of stressed assets. So, this is to look at NPAs, how to come out of the NPA. So, here part of the debt is converted into equity or quasi equity. Part of the debt is converted into equity and the remaining part will be there as it is as debt. So, this is all about S4A, and in some other class we deliberate in detail about S4A, because from your examination point of view 2-3 things are very important. One is S4A, second important point is when the exposure or when the loan is more than rupees 500 crore, then only this is applicable, that is second point. Third point is it is bifurcated into debt as well as equity, and the sustainable debt should be minimum 50%, that is another important aspect. So, these things please remember and do not go beyond that, because in the clerical examination this is more than enough, but if someone is attending the interview of this IBPS PO, then you may be required to learn much about this S4A, and already one news capsule available under S4A in current affairs. Please view that capsule. And another important aspect is there is one capsule available under financial sector and regulators, that is also available in current affairs in YouTube. Please view that also, because there we have given with regard to who are the regulators, who regulate what, right. That is also very important. Look at the next one, Aadhaar based ATM. This DCB Bank unveiled Aadhaar based ATM in Bengaluru. And what is the main purpose of this Aadhaar based ATM? Here it is cardless, card is not required. At the same time PIN is not required, but what is required? What is required is your Aadhaar number as well as your fingerprints. Fingerprints, iris, both are known as biometrics. Please do not forget, if someone talks about biometrics, that is nothing but your fingerprints as well as iris abstract. So, with this biometric information, now you can access your account instead of your card and this PIN number. So, this was launched in Bengaluru by DCB Bank. Then S Bank, this is one of the new generation it is one of the new generation private sector bank, and this pledged £1 million to the prestigious London School of Economics to support IG Patel chair. One chair is established in London School of Economics, and IG Patel was the former Reserve Bank of India governor, do not forget. Let us look at the next one. Mis-selling is quite common. Mis-selling, what is the meaning of mis-selling? Mis-selling, upselling, cross-selling, these are the terms commonly used in examinations. What is meant by mis-selling? Without revealing the facts, if I sell some product that comes under mis-selling. This normally happens for insurance firms. In insurance firms, they sell the products without revealing the full information sometimes. So, mis-selling is quite common in insurance sector. And cross-selling, you may ask, example of cross-selling, you are going to a bank, when you are going to a bank, then if they are selling you some insurance product, when you are visiting a bank, when they are selling you some insurance product, then it is cross-selling. And upselling means you want to purchase a TV at rupees 20,000, later on you purchased a TV of 40,000 rupees because the shopkeeper convinced you, that is upselling. So, these terms are very important: upselling, cross-selling, mis-selling. Do not forget, and look at the next one. NCR Corporation, this is the country's largest ATM manufacturer. India has got around 2,20,000 ATMs. Because of demonetization, nowadays all these figures came to the forefront. 2,20,000 ATMs. And do not forget, for recalibration of these ATMs, Reserve Bank Deputy Governor SS Mudra Committee was established. Certain things do not forget, SS Mudra Committee was established to recalibrate ATMs for the new notes in 2,20,000 ATMs. And NCR Corporation is the country's largest ATM manufacturer, and it recently installed a pilot ATM machine in Gurugram branch of Insolvency Bank. When a check is produced, when a bearer check is produced, it will dispense cash. This is for the first time as a pilot program. This Insolvency Bank has started this facility, right? Look at the next one. Kerala government wants to start a bank, and it proposes to merge all cooperative banks, and Kerala government is in the process. They want to establish one bank by merging this cooperative banks. Why? Because State Bank of Travancore, which is headquartered, is going to merge with State Bank of India shortly. So, State Bank of Travancore is going to merge with the State Bank of India shortly. So, because of that reason, Kerala government wants to start a bank. Then Mudra Bank. Mudra Bank is a refinance institution, please do not forget. It is a subsidiary of SIDBI, that is another aspect. It is now registered as non-banking financial company, that is another aspect. And Mudra Bank, it is a refinance company. You may ask, what is meant by refinance? You cannot call it a company, but it is a non-banking financial company. It is non-banking financial company and it gives refinance. You may ask, what is meant by refinance? Refinance means it normally do not lend directly. It gives to intermediaries. Mudra Bank gives to State Bank of India, and State Bank of India gives loans to the customers directly. So, that is known as refinance. So, Mudra Bank target this year is 1.8 lakh crores. Then another aspect is Reserve Bank of India allowed 100% FDI in credit information firms through automatic route. Here this FDI allowed in credit information companies is 100% through automatic. And here do not forget, CIBIL is the largest credit information company in the country. CIBIL is the largest credit information company in the country, and CIBIL means Credit Information Bureau India Limited. So, what is the purpose of credit information companies? The purpose of credit information companies is basically they compile various data and create credit history, and subsequently they give this credit score. I have listed here CIBIL, Experian, Equifax, CRIF. These are examples of this credit information companies. And credit information companies are different from credit rating companies. Credit rating companies evaluate various companies as well as governments. Credit rating companies, and before going into credit rating companies, recently Reserve Bank of India gave one circular. Reserve Bank of India informed credit information companies to provide at least one credit score every year. They have to provide one credit score every year free of cost from January 1, 2017. Right. So, credit information companies from now onwards will give your credit score once in a year from January 1, 2017. Right. So, let us look at credit rating agencies. These are the world's largest credit rating agencies: Moody's, Standard and Poor's, Fitch Ratings. So, these three are the world's largest credit rating agencies. They give credit rating to governments as well as companies. What is the meaning of credit rating? They evaluate various companies as well as governments. If money is given to them, can they in a position to pay back or not? Right. So, here Moody's and S&P together enjoy almost 80% market share in the world as far as credit rating agencies are concerned. And if you look at the credit rating agencies in our country, CRISIL, then ICRA, then India Ratings and Research, these are some of the credit rating agencies in our country, and CRISIL is almost 50 to 60% market share in our country. And please do not forget, CRISIL is the S&P global company. So, it is the Indian subsidiary of S&P or Standard and Poor. So, CRISIL is the largest credit rating agency in our country, and CIBIL is the largest credit information company in our country. Look at another important aspect. As per RBI guidelines, maximum amount allowed per transaction by using contactless cards. And 2-3 important points I would like to tell you. This contactless cards work on the principle of tap and go. You need not swipe the card, you have to just tap and go. And second point is, they work under near field communication technology. They work with the near field communication technology, or you can say NFC technology. And Reserve Bank of India allowed maximum 5 transactions in a day, and at the same time maximum amount per each transaction is rupees 2000. Right. So, here I have given some of the cards based on this near field communication technology. And if someone talks about touch and go cards, they are based on near field communication technology. Then, Who Moved My Interest Rate? This is the book written by Duvuri Subbarao, former Governor of Reserve Bank of India. Right. So, look into the next one. Axis Bank and Freecharge, they came together for operating Unified Payments Interface. And you may ask, who developed Unified Payments Interface? UPI is developed by NPCI. NPCI is National Payments Corporation of India. It is the brain behind several things. One is RuPay card. RuPay card is given for Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana bank holders. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana bank account holders have got RuPay cards. And RuPay is another platform just like Visa, MasterCard, and this NPCI brought this unified payments interface. So, by using virtual payment address, this is very important. Here virtual payment address, that is a VPA, by using virtual payment address, this unified payments interface transfers money. So, it is a 24/7 basis, and if someone talks about transferring money, all of you are familiar with NEFT, RTGS. NEFT and RTGS functions only during specified hours of the day, and another is IMPS, immediate payment service, that is mobile money transfer using mobile money identifier 7-digit code. Mobile money identifier is a 7-digit code. By using mobile money identifier, that is MMID, money can be transferred. So, that is IMPS. At the same time, this using virtual payment address, this unified payments interface functions. So, money transfer mechanisms on 24/7 basis, unified payments interface, IMPS, do not forget, and NEFT and RTGS are also there, but they do not function 24/7 basis. And here I have given what are the advantages of a unified payments interface. Here transaction is done by a single virtual payment address or VPA, and here account number, IFSC code and other details are not required. So, it is a much simpler mechanism. And another important aspect is this is the channel which powers multiple bank accounts. So, multiple bank accounts can be integrated with a single mobile app of any bank. That is the beauty of a unified payments interface. So, this multiple bank accounts can be attached with single mobile app, can be integrated with a single mobile application of any bank. So, these are the advantages of unified payments interface. As per the final guidelines for universal banks, minimum capital required is rupees 500 crores. Capital required, I have already told you, for universal banks, minimum capital requirement is kept as rupees 500 crores, whereas for payments banks as well as small finance banks, that is rupees 100 crores. And at the same time, capital adequacy ratio is 9% for universal banks and 15% for differentiated banks. So, these are two differences, please do not forget. Buddy is the mobile wallet of State Bank of India, and you should not forget certain mobile wallets I have given here. Pockets is of ICICI Bank, Lime is of Axis Bank, PayJob pertains to HDFC Bank. Then 2016 is famous for Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, and recently chairperson was announced for Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, that is Madhusudan Sahu. Madhusudan Sahu became the chairperson of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, that is one aspect. Then notified provisions were announced for Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, and this bankruptcy law, that means here to solve the problem of distressed firms, individuals, partnership firms, this was brought. So, it is applicable for individuals, corporates as well as partnership firms. So, this is very important. SURFACE Act, I have given full form here. Please go through the full form, because several times in the examinations this was asked. The securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of Security Interest Act of 2002. So, SURFACE Act is very important. So, this SURFACE Act is so far applicable to banks as well as financial institutions, but now it is extended to non-banking financial companies of asset size rupees 500 crore or above. So, these three do not forget. SURFACE Act, based on SURFACE Act only, asset reconstruction companies were established. Asset reconstruction companies came up based on SURFACE Act, and this SURFACE Act is applicable not only for banks, financial institutions as well as non-banking financial companies of asset size 500 crores or above, right. So, if someone talks about the SURFACE Act, this is applicable for all these three. Project Ananya, this is very important. This is the flagship program of Syndicate Bank, and this is basically to modernize their branches, and they established a management consultant, that is Boston Consulting Group is the management consultant for this Syndicate Bank. So, project Ananya, that is Syndicate Bank. Exim Bank is regulated by Reserve Bank of India, and Export Credit Guarantee Corporation is regulated by IRDAI. So, this Exim Bank is regulated by Reserve Bank of India, ECGC is regulated by IRDAI. These things do not forget. And first public sector undertaking under Department of Post. Under Department of Posts, first public sector undertaking will be Payments Bank. Payments Bank is expected to be rolled out by March 2017. So, if someone talks about IPPB, that is India Post Payments Bank, that is total project cost of rupees 800 crore expected to be rolled out by March 2017. And India's first multi-bank mobile application is Chill. This is very important. It allows users to connect seamlessly with multiple bank accounts. So, first multi-bank mobile application is Chill, right. So, these things do not forget. RBI asked banks to give loans to women self-help groups, and interest rate is 7%. So, women self-help groups, SHGs, will get loans at interest rate of 7% per annum, and government will pay to banks certain percentage, that is known as interest subvention. If the bank interest rate is 10%, SHGs will be charged 7%, and balance 3% will be paid by central government to banks, that is known as interest subvention. So, interest subvention is quite common for crop loans. For agriculture loans, this interest subvention is quite common, and if someone talks about interest subvention, that is nothing but interest subsidy, right, that is paid normally by central government to banks, right. So, here self-help groups will be eligible for loans up to rupees 3 lakhs at 7% per annum, right. SBI and ICICI Bank, they will be recognized as domestic systemically important banks. And here this is very important, that is systemically important banks. Systemically important banks means they are too big to fail. If they fail, then it will have adverse implications on the financial system. They are too big to fail. There are 30 banks at the global level. There are 30 banks at global level. They are known as globally systemically important banks, or GSIBs. Domestic level, India level, they are domestic systemically important banks. This is DSIBs. If someone talks about DSIBs, they are most important and they are too big to fail, and if they fail, then they will have adverse implications on the financial system as a whole. And there are 4 aspects before declaring certain banks as systemically important. First one is the size, second one is interconnectedness, then substitutability, then complexity. By looking at 4 aspects, this SBI and ICICI were declared as domestic systemically important banks, and as they are important, they have to maintain certain percentage high capital adequacy ratio. For SBI, it should be 0.6% high to be managed gradually by April 19, and at the same time for ICICI Bank, it should be 0.2% by April 2019. So, SBI 0.6% additional capital adequacy ratio, ICICI Bank 0.2% additional capital adequacy ratio. Right friends, this is our first live lecture, and this is some sort of informal discussion. As this is live, no editing will be done. This will be uploaded straight away in YouTube channel, and please write your comments and please inform your friends, because we are going to deliberate around 10 live sessions, especially in view of this IBPS clerks main examination various banking and economy events are being discussed, and this is the first live lecture. Two things I would like to tell you, because this is live lecture, the discussions are informal, and the second point is there may not be mistakes, but as it is live, some words here and there may be there, because in the pronunciation, sometimes in the framing of sentence there may be some lapses, because it is inevitable, because we are going through live lecture. So, I hope that you all will understand this, and please differentiate between live lectures as well as normal lectures, because normal lectures are normally edited and uploaded, but this live lecture will go on stream without any editing, and subsequently this is uploaded in YouTube channel. So, please understand this difference. So, this will be uploaded straight away in YouTube channel now. So, we will meet once again, that is the second session for IBPS clerks discussion on Monday, that is on 5th December. So, 5th December, time will be announced shortly, and we will try to keep it at the most convenient time to all of you. So, please inform your friends, because this will be highly useful to the banking examinations, and we are going to conduct 10 sessions, and at the same time I once again tell you that we are going to start this newspapers editorial live discussion from 2nd January. Important newspaper editorials will be discussed live that day. Weekly 3 days we are planning from January 2nd. So, please look at all these things, which will be highly beneficial in your life. So, we are concluding this first live session. So, have a nice day, and please do join for second live session, and please view our various capsules and modules, because highly beneficial to your examinations. Not only for your examinations, your knowledge will blossom by viewing our modules as well as capsules. Right friends, have a nice day. Thank you.